Hello everybody and welcome to episode number 36 of Driftless Knitting. My name is Jennifer. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Driftless Knitter, and you can find the podcast on Ravelry if you search for Driftless Knitting under the Groups tab. I'm so happy to be back talking with you today. It is a bit of a gray day today. We had a lot of rain this morning, which believe me, we do not need. There has been so much flooding in the area. One day last week we got 4 to 5 inches, like within a 4 to 5 hour period. It's an inch an hour. And so many of the rivers and creeks and farm fields are just overflowing, and there's just so much water everywhere, it's just so interesting to me. Here we are complaining about too much water, excess water, and there are so many places in the world where they are really suffering for want of water, and just the uneven scales, and it's just going to keep getting worse, I fear. But oh yeah, climate change, gotta love it. Today I am drinking a hot cup of coffee in a brand new mug. This is from one of my good friends, Amanda, and it's from Riddle's Tea Shop. Yes, there's an S at the end of there. And it is an online tea shop, and she got me, let me show you the other side. It gets better. If you could have guessed, Riddle being in the title, it is Harry Potter related. So, Superior Wizards Drink Tea. I'm obviously not a superior wizard because I'm drinking coffee right now, but I do like a cup of tea. Don't get me wrong. I just don't drink it for the caffeine, to get caffeinated, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Tea, to me, is herbal, so more of green teas, chamomile, lavender, soothing, even more sort of teas that you drink when you're ill, or when you want to just relax after a long day and kind of wind down and get to sleep. That's when I like to have my sleepy time tea, which is like a chamomile peppermint blend type of thing. Yeah. So I don't often drink black teas, but I do enjoy the odd cup of tea. Coffee, though, is my drink of choice, and I have some delicious hazelnut vanilla coffee. That is really hitting the spot. And then next to me here, I have a little sweet treat that I grabbed before sitting down, and these are called Buckeyes. I don't know if you can see. The chocolate's going to be a little melty. It's like a peanut butter paste dipped in chocolate. And I had never had these before until like a week ago. And I bought some at a store in Wisconsin. It's like it's a store with a lot of cheeses and handmade spreads, and then they have a section of handmade candies. And I went there with my friends Carolyn and Kate from the Chain 344 podcast, and my friend Lisa of Three Sisters Fiber Company. We had a knitting day and a fibery get-together day last week, and we ended up going to this store. So I've been enjoying those. I've been limiting myself to like 1 or 2 a day, which I'm really proud of. And I had a good workout this morning, so I figured I could have a couple. I'm letting myself have a couple. So I hope your weeks have been going really well. This will probably be getting out to you Tuesday or Wednesday. So you've already gotten through Monday, and you're already kind of halfway done with the week, so good job. I had a really good weekend. I went to Old World, Wisconsin on Saturday and found out the results of the contest that I had entered. And you guys heard me talk about this a couple of weeks ago. I entered an original knitting pattern design for a piece inspired by Laura Ingalls Wilder and her books, and I think I'll put a picture here. So as you can see, I have a motif of trees kind of around the body, and it has a hood that comes up, and it's very reminiscent of the outer garments worn back in the day by Laura and others kind of in that time period. And I was a finalist, one of 12 finalists. That actually, it was a nationwide competition, which I did not know, which makes it even cooler. And you could do an art piece like I did from whatever medium you chose. Mine, of course, is yarn and textiles. There was some drawings, some paintings, a lot of written work. So it could be a written piece, it could be poetry, you know, an essay, a story, it could be a video, photographs, you know, and anything like that. So there were quite a few different types of projects that were submitted. A lot of them, the majority of them, I believe, were written, but there was some other art in there too. And while I did not win, I'm sorry to say, I know a lot of people were rooting for me, and I really appreciate that. I got a lot of love on Instagram and from all my friends at Yarnology and in Winona. I did not win, but I have it on pretty good authority that it was a very close race. There was a couple that they were going back and forth with. I think I'm not sure exactly what they were weighing it on, but I got a lot of good feedback from the judges, and they all said that they just loved it. One of the workers that's good friends with my sister at Old World said that her and a lot of the other interpreters and historians there were really excited to see it, and they were all hoping that I'd bring it so that they could try it on. And yeah, it was just really sweet of them to show that much interest and support for me. So I did get to meet a big Laura Ingalls Wilder scholar and biographer named William Anderson, and he's written quite a few books and, like I said, biographies on Laura Ingalls Wilder. His newest book is The Selected Letters of Laura Ingalls Wilder, and I actually just finished that before the event this past weekend. I wanted to read his book before I actually got to meet him, and we had a really good conversation, took a picture together, shook his hand. He was very, very interested in my design, and I told him, and I forget her name, Anna something. She's an author as well. Oh, I feel really bad that I can't remember her name. But she did work with like the American Girl doll books, things like that, and I got to meet her. She's a knitter as well, which I was so thrilled to find out about. And she told me, she's like, "Do you have this up on Ravelry? You should really put this up on Ravelry." And I just loved that she knew what that was and kind of knew about the knitting community and the knitting culture. And she was just saying how, you know, how great it was and all this stuff. And I did tell them, I was like, you know, it's kind of one of my dreams to put together a whole collection of Laura Ingalls Wilder inspired, and Little House inspired knits. So yeah, so that's a kind of a dream of mine. But I did decide, I believe that I am going to put the pattern up on Ravelry, and I have it mostly written out. The problem with this project is that while I was knitting it, I wrote down the very, very basic schematics of it, like how many I casted on, how many. No, I didn't even write that down. I wrote out a chart on I have a program on my computer to write out like the cable chart. So I have that saved. But other than that, I didn't really write anything down. I didn't want the pressure of writing down and making a knitting pattern comprehensible and trying to get it done on time. So I just knit it and just went with it. And I thought if I ever want to put it out there, I can kind of look back and count my rows and all that stuff. Which actually I did end up doing a couple weeks ago, last week. And I have the majority of it written out. So I just have to do a little bit. I want to offer a couple different sizes because it is rather form-fitting on me, and that would probably be like a small size, and I want to do like a medium and large. So I just have to do a little bit of math, and then I will get it out there. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to do this, so I'll put it out there. But I really want to take a percentage of the proceeds from this pattern and donate it back to the Laura Ingalls Wilder Foundation. There's a couple different sites, quite a few sites actually, where Laura used to live, and there is I believe a main foundation in Mansfield, Missouri, which is where she lived the majority of her life with her husband and their daughter. But there are also smaller places around the country that are kind of keeping up the historical sites of where she lived, and I would love to contribute to a couple of those foundations. I think that stories like hers and just the history of the American past, while it has its darker moments, it's the history of how our country was built, and I do think that it's worth remembering and learning from. So I would love to contribute a percentage of the proceeds from that pattern and donate them back. So I will let you know when it does go on Ravelry, and you can check it out there, and hopefully lots of you want to knit a little snuggly cape for yourself. So yes, so thank you everybody for the support that you've shown me with this contest, and I'm just really proud that I got it done and that I was a finalist, and hopefully there are more inspired patterns coming your way, so who knows. So let's get into a little bit more knitting right now. The last couple of days I spent at, just like flashed it there. Yeah, you all know what this is going to be. The last couple of days I spent at the farm. So after the event on Saturday, Seaver and we spent the night at my sister's down. She lives down in that area. And then on Sunday we came back to the farm, spent Sunday and Monday there, and then yesterday I drove home. And I've spent the rest of my weekend kind of laying low and cleaning, getting some projects done, and knitting, of course. This project, though, I knit the majority of at the farm, and I actually got a lot done. Oh, and I'm in the middle of the row, of course. So Seaver really wanted to help his dad a bit while he was there and had the day off. So on Sunday, we rode and did tractor work for like 4 hours, something like that. And while we're riding in the tractor, there's 2 seats in the tractor, so I'm able to ride with him. I bring my knitting along. So we listen to the radio, we talk, I knit, he does whatever he needs to do, whether it's cut hay or bale hay or pick up hay. In this case, we were picking up brown bales and bringing them back and putting them under the roof because it keeps raining. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so I was knitting on this like the whole time and got a lot done. So where the progress keeper is where I was the last time I podcasted, so a week ago today. And keep in mind that I really only worked on this for part of Sunday and a little bit on Monday. I got all of this knit, and while it kind of doesn't look like a whole lot, it's all curled up, sorry, because I'm in the middle of a row. This is linen stitch, so it takes a little bit more time than your average like stockinette stitch or garter. Just the slipping and the knitting and it's a little more fiddly. So I did get quite a bit done, and it's getting awfully long. I'll just do a little panorama here. There's a little end. That's where I started. And I am knitting this out of a Three Sisters Fiber Company sock blank. And I think right now I'm about halfway done. I have about half of the sock blank left. I'm getting into the yellows and the reds, which I'm really excited to see how that turns out. I think this part in here with that gray with the yellow mixed in is going to look amazing. And even the red at the end, it looks very solid, but I think that once I get it knit up, there's going to be a lot more flecks of like tonal changes in there. So I am having so much fun with this, and it really is going faster. Once I sat down and did a huge chunk of it, I mean, I feel like that just grew by itself. And I'm loving, okay, I really hope you can see this part. This is my favorite part so far of the yarn. The grays and whites with that little bit of pale yellow and almost like a denim, light denim blue in there. Oh my gosh. I am so in love with those colors and that combination. I want a whole skein of yarn like in these colors right here. I really hope it's showing up. The lighting is kind of bad because it's a little rainy, but yeah. It's been so fun watching this grow and watching the colors, the way that they translate from, you know, dyed sock blank into knitted, you know, knitted linen stitch. It's just so much fun. I love it. I'm addicted to sock blanks. These are so fun. So yeah, that was really good. I was really glad to have not only, you know, a little extra time with Seaver on the farm, but then also just to get a really good chunk of knitting in. It was great. It was fantastic. And I gotta get my coffee in, so. Slurping a little bit, sorry. So, I mentioned that I really only worked on that Sunday and Monday. And the reason for that is last week and yesterday and today. Yesterday was Monday though. Well, the better half of yesterday I worked on this. I have been trying with all my might to get this done because this has a deadline. I have to get this done by Saturday, like blocked, buttons on, ready to go by Saturday. So last week I did show you the body of my Gramps cardigan that I'm knitting for my nephew Ronan. Ronan just turned a year old on Saturday. It was also really good. We were at Old World, Wisconsin to hear the results of my contest, and that was great. But then it was a really good excuse to all be together. My mom and my stepdad came, Seaver was there, my sister, my brother-in-law, and then their little guy Ronan came along with me, and it was just this awesome family day, and it just so happened to be Ronan's first birthday, so it just worked out so well. The whole day I was just like smiling from ear to ear. I swear it was fantastic. But this doesn't look like a whole lot right now, but let me show you the exciting part. It has sleeves. Okay, so last week I showed you this and it was just the body, not even this much of the body. I can't remember where I was exactly, but I had to knit, I know I had to knit a little bit more of the body, and then I think on, let's see, I podcasted on Tuesday, and I think Wednesday or Thursday I started knitting the sleeves. So with this particular pattern, you knit the sleeves, you don't go back and pick up stitches or sew the sleeves in. I had to set the body of the sweater aside. Let me show you all my little, okay. So I had to set the body of the sweater aside, go and knit the sleeves, which I did 2 at a time, magic loop. I'll talk about that in a second. And then I came back and I knitted, well, I had to hold, you can see I'm holding stitches on either side that I will seam up when I'm done for the underarm. But I knitted the body stitches and put the sleeve stitches right in the middle of those body stitches. And then I will just knit up the sleeves will kind of be seamlessly knit into the sweater. And I think I'm on the neck shaping. Well, no, I have to knit a little bit more, and then I start neck shaping, and then I pick up for the collar. So I'm getting there, and I think the hardest part is done. The hardest part being, not that the sleeves were hard. I need to preface this. The sleeves are not hard. It's a very simple cable pattern. Cute little cuff there. What was slightly tricky was the magic looping, and I'm a big magic looper. I do all of my circular knitting. If it's too small to fit around a 16-inch circular needle, I magic loop it. I do not like double points. I don't really like 12-inch or 9-inch circulars, so I do all my socks on magic loop. I tend to even knit the tops of my hats using magic loop. My sleeves are all magic loop, so that was not the hard part. It was arranging the stitches so that they worked efficiently with the pattern. And what I mean by that is that this cable is divided right down the middle, and if I would traditionally pull my cable through my stitches, it would be dividing this down the middle. And I did this first cable with it like that. So one needle had, this is going to be kind of awkward to show you, one needle had these stitches around to these stitches, and then the second needle had from here around to there, because this was the beginning of the round here in the back. So it worked out until I had to do this crisscross, because I needed 2 stitches from this side and 2 stitches from this side, and because I was doing them 2 at a time, there was no way that I could get these 2 and these 2 together without doing some major finagling. So the first time I did it, I held stitches, moved the cable around, put them back on, kind of moved them around, moved them back when I was done, and it took about 10 minutes per sleeve to get all that. Nah, probably not. It felt like 10 minutes per sleeve to get all that figured out. And it just took a really, really long time. So when let's see, last week I got to about the middle of this cable, and it just felt, on both sleeves of course, doing them 2 at a time, and it just felt like it had taken weeks. And I'm thinking to myself, how in the world am I going to get this sweater done by Saturday? So yesterday, when I got home from the farm, I decided I had to get the sleeves done. Just had to get the sleeves done yesterday. And remember, I was only halfway through the second cable repeat. Look how long those are. 2 at a time. So I had to figure out a way where it was just going to just work a little bit better, be more efficient. So what I ended up doing was I moved the stitches around so that one needle had the whole cable pattern on it, and the second needle had most of the stockinette stitch. And that meant I did have to put another marker here, because technically the beginning of the round was halfway through this sleeve, and I just had to remember that, you know, the next round did not start here at the end of this needle, it started right here in the middle. So when it came time to finish the sleeves and put them on the sweater, it took a little bit more finagling. I'm using that word a lot. I quite like it. But it would have been so much more tedious to have to rearrange my stitches for every time that cable crisscrosses, and it does it quite often. So it just worked out so much better, and I got them done. I got them most of the way done last night. I had, I believe, half of a repeat left to go, and I was just too tired. I finished the podcast I was watching, I looked up at the clock and it was a little after 11, and I still wanted to do a little bit of reading. Reading tends to calm me down a little bit at night and keep my mind from racing too much. If I'm on my phone or watching something up until the last second I go to bed, then I tend to stay awake a little bit longer, lying there thinking about all the stuff I want to do, all the stuff I have to do, all the stuff I did and didn't do. So I still wanted to read a little bit, and it was already like 11:15, and I was just a little sleepy. So I put that down, thought that would be easy enough to get done, this morning, and sure enough it was. So I finished that second half of the repeat, and then I put them on the body of the sweater, and I'll show that to you one more time. Like I said, this is the Gramps cardigan by Kate Oates, I believe, yes, Kate Oates, and the yarn is Tosh, it's a Madeline Tosh yarn, and I believe it's Tosh DK. It's the plied DK yarn. It's not a single ply, you can see that. It's 100% superwash merino, and this is the Time colorway. Beautiful, beautiful soft green. I am in love with this colorway, and I really, really, really do love Madeline Tosh yarn. It gets a bit of a hype, and part of me wants to think that, it's not always worth the hype, but it's hard to beat this. I mean, the feel of the yarn, the squishiness of it, the color, it's just beautiful. So I really, really do love Madeline Tosh. I bought 3 skeins of this yarn way back, probably last year. We were having a closeout sale at Yarnology because we no longer carry Madeline Tosh yarn for various reasons. Oh no, there goes one of my balls of yarn. So for the yarn that I use for the body of the sweater, this is all I have left. The remnants of a cake of yarn. But I do have 2 of these balls of yarn, one of which just rolled across the room. But I had wound these up on a day when I was not at work. We have a Swift at the yarn shop, and that's what I use to wind up all my yarn. I do not have one of my own. But I was really impatient to start knitting the sleeves, so I wound up both of the second skeins so I could have two separate skeins to knit the sleeves 2 at a time. Obviously, if I'm winding it in a ball, I can't pull from the inside and outside, which is totally fine. I really didn't mind. So yeah, so I have 2 of these left, and I will definitely need more to finish up the body of it up to the shoulders and then do the collar, but I think I'll have a decent amount left, and I might knit him a hat out of it. Jill and Nate were saying that most of his hats he's grown out of, he does have a larger-ish head, which I think is pretty normal for a baby, but a lot of his hats that were given to him were all newborn hats or like 6-month hats, and he's in like 18-month clothes right now, so they kind of said, they'd love so they told me that they would love if he had a hand knit hat from me. So I think that's really cute that they kind of asked for that, and I'll definitely knit him one of those. My sister and Nate are really, really good about taking care of hand knits. They really appreciate them. I've knit him 2 sweaters before this, and well, I've knit him 3 sweaters. One was a tiny little newborn sweater, which I don't think he wore that maybe once, but he grew out of it pretty quickly. But he has 2 other hand knit sweaters by me, and they really appreciate them. So I feel good about knitting him a sweater like this one because I think they're just going to absolutely love it. Oh, and I forgot to say what size this was. This is the 2-year size. So I am planning for the future. You can see it is kind of a good size, but yeah, it will fit him come wintertime, which is the goal. So yeah, wish me luck on that one. I will hopefully have it done by Saturday. If not, hopefully the only thing I'll have to do is sew on buttons or something, and I can give it to Jill or give it to Ronan, and then take it back and sew on the buttons really quick. So if that's the only thing I have to do, I think I can live with it. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is a birthday present that I got from my good friend Amanda. And I did already show you one thing, my cauldron-shaped coffee and / tea mug from Riddle's Tea Shop. And the other thing, she got me a couple other things, and you will notice a theme here. So she also got me from Riddle's Tea Shop, she got me some Hufflepuff House tea, which I think is awesome. This is the Loyalty House Blend. And let's see, I'll read what's in there. It is apricot, white peach, vanilla, and apple and cinnamon. And it smells amazing. So I did mention I don't often drink black tea, but I will have to make an exception for this. It's also a loose leaf tea, which when I do drink tea, it's not usually loose leaf, but I do have you can kind of see it in there. I don't want it to fall out. It's just beautiful. I do have one of those tea balls where you can kind of pack it full of some loose leaf tea and put it in your teapot or put it in a single cup of tea. So I don't use it that often, but I'll have to get more in the habit of it. So I thought that was really cute to go along with my mug. And she also got me from a local glass maker. She got me I don't know what I would call this, like what the technical name for this is. It's like one of those window hangers where the sunlight shines through. What is that called? I don't know. But you get the point. The sunlight shines through and it makes cool designs on your wall, or just kind of filters the light through it. So this is, for those of you who are Harry Potter fans, again, you'll see the Hufflepuff colors, black, yellow. This is like a yellowy kind of in there too. But it's also the symbol for the Deathly Hallows, which I think is really cool. So yeah, I'm going to have to put that in my window. And the last thing, last but certainly not least, she got me, I'm so excited about this. You guys are going to be like, okay, I'm so excited. She got me the Hufflepuff candle from Frostbeard Studio. I'm so excited. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of background. If you watch the podcast, you'll have known that I love Frostbeard Studio. I got my first introduction to them was, I believe, my birthday last year, or maybe it was Christmas. I think it was Christmas. Again, from Amanda, she got me the sample pack of the Hogwarts houses. So it had a scent for Slytherin, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Gryffindor. And they were just little tea lights, and I loved them. One of them burned in like 2 hours, so they didn't really last too long, but they give you a nice idea of what the different scents are. The kind of disappointing part, though, was that Frostbeard Studios no longer offered full candles of the Hogwarts houses. So when I smelled my sample pack, and I thought to myself, I would love a full candle of the Loyal Wizards Hufflepuff candle. How many times can I say candle in one sentence? But they no longer offered them, so, that was a little disappointing. I found, of course, other scents that I liked. I got in the past couple of months, I've had one based on the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I've had one based on The Princess Bride. I bought my sister one that was based on Doctor Who. But I kind of always really, really wanted the the Hufflepuff candle. And then I got a notification, because I do follow them and I get their newsletter, that they were bringing them out of retirement. And the first thought in my head was, I need to place an order. I need to place an order. But lately I've been there's been different things that I have to pay for, and the things that I want kind of have to take a backseat. So, yeah, I've recently gotten my car fixed a bit, which took a big chunk of change out of my checking account. But, so, I'm just trying not to splurge, I guess. So I didn't order myself one. So Amanda comes with this bag. We got together for dinner last week, and she has this bag full of goodies for me for my birthday, which she doesn't have to do, but she's very sweet, and she gets me lovely gifts. And inside, wrapped up, was this candle. I couldn't believe it. So, yeah, I'm very, very happy. It's just the most refreshing scent. It's a little bit flowery and a little bit fruity and a little bit soapy. I know that sounds really weird, but I think it has honey in it, which makes sense. It's a honey scent along with something else. But it's just the perfect combination. So I am so excited to have that and burn that. I haven't been burning candles too much lately because it's been so warm. I did have one going today. I finished up I think it's out actually, which is sad. I finished up a winter candle that I had from last year, which I know is crazy because it's July, but I was just so excited that it was in the 60s today. It was like 62 degrees most of the morning, which is fabulous. And I had all my windows open, my door open. I had the breeze blowing in. I actually had to turn my fan off because it was getting chilly in here. And I lit a candle because I was just in such a fall-y mood, and yeah, love it. So this one is definitely going to get burned soon. I'm going to have to convince myself to burn it because there is a little part of me that likes to store things away. I've always been that way, whether it's sweets or treats or yarn or candles, something that I really love that I don't know if I'm going to be able to get again. I tend to hoard it slightly. So I'm just going to have to convince myself that I need to use it because that is what it's here for. So anyway, the last thing I want to talk about is a new podcast that I just started watching. And I have basically caught up with all of my podcasts that I have been watching. I have a little bit more of Grace's podcast, which is Babel's Traveling Yarns. She has been pretty much my constant companion for the last few weeks because I've been binging and catching up on her podcast. And I think I only have like one more episode, and it might even be her most recent one. So really, I guess I have caught up. But I was looking for another podcast to, watch at length, especially because I'm trying to finish up this sweater, I should say, and get some other stuff done. So I was watching Inside Number 23, and that's Katie, and she took a special episode of footage from PomFest, which is a little festival put on by Pom Pom Magazine, and it was to celebrate their birthday. I think they've been around for 5 years, I think. And she was meeting up with a couple of friends, and one of those friends was Nikki from the Tea and Possibilities podcast. And I have heard her talk about Tea and Possibilities before, and that she is friends, with the host. But I didn't really look into it because I had others to watch at the time. And I just thought, I would check it out and see what the first episode was like. And I really, really like it. So I've been watching Nikki's podcast the last week. I am up to episode number 12, I believe, because they are shorter. They're 20 to 30 minutes on average, I would say. Maybe she has a couple that are longer than that, but for the most part, they don't really run more than, half an hour, 40 minutes. So I've been able to watch quite a few of them, especially yesterday when I sat down and busted out those sleeves for that sweater. It's crazy. So yeah, Nikki is very sweet. She has so many good ideas when it comes to planning and organizing and just living the most stress-free, crafty life possible. And I really, really admire her for that. I like watching kind of her evolution. You can tell that she kind of started out being maybe a little more of a beginner knitter, and I think now, of course, I haven't caught up, but I think she has really evolved into quite a good knitter. So it's going to be fun to watch that. And yeah, I'm just really excited to have a new podcaster friend. I feel like I know all these people, which I've never really met any of them. I'm really enjoying Nikki's podcast, and I can't wait to watch more of her episodes and get caught up. So thanks, Nikki, for having a great podcast, and I'm glad I found it. Okay, everybody, I think that just about does it for me for episode number 36. Thank you so much for coming to join me. If you are a returning viewer, I appreciate you coming back week after week. And if you're a new viewer, thank you so much. Thanks for checking out my podcast. I really, really hope that you liked this episode. If you did, please subscribe to my channel and give it a big thumbs up. So I will see you guys again next week, and I hope you have a great week. Do all the things that make your heart happy, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.